Jake Paul and Mike Tyson now have been suspended from boxing after controversial fight in Texas.
Jake Paul has officially been arrested, and honestly, it's about time Karma decided to step in. Did he really think he could keep scamming people without consequences? This time, Jake, you've messed with the wrong crowd. Boxing fans don't forget.
The whole thing was scripted. The whole thing was just a money grab. And for a lot of us,
these aren't your TikTok followers, Jake. Boxing fans will strip you down to your last ego boost and leave you swearing off scams for life. Let's be real, this scripted boxing circus isn't even the worst of it. Jake's track record is a laundry list of shady schemes and frauds, from fake fights to exploitative cons, all designed to milk his so-called influence for maximum profit. But now, the tables have turned. Everyone he's wronged is finally getting their sweet taste of justice. Jake Paul? More like Joke Paul. This time, the joke's on him. And oh, it's absolutely delicious.
28-year-old kid who, used to be a YouTuber, and he's worked hard to learn boxing. He really has. He's come along, but really, he's still not of that level.
Let's rewind for a moment. Jake's road to greatness has been a disaster in the making since his Vine days. Back then, he wasn't just annoying, he was downright toxic. We're talking about bullying, blackmail, and even police reports linking him to cyberbullying so severe it led to suicide attempts. Really inspiring, right? Fast forward to 2017, and we get Team 10, Jake's dystopian YouTube collective. Except it wasn't a collective, it was a nightmare. Phones were tapped, members were spied on, and lives were controlled. It was basically a cult with terrible merch, and somehow he still has the audacity to complain about his asterisk feelings getting hurt.
like I said, I don't like the better keep us to my piece.
Left hook,
Mike's hurt. Mike's hurt.
And the drama didn't stop there. Remember that mention? The one where neighbors called the police 47 times for everything from explosions to arson. One girl even got injured during one of Jake's brainless stunts. But don't worry, Jake handled it the only way he knows how, by throwing money at the problem. No apology, just hush cash. Classic Jake. Meanwhile, as he was wreaking havoc in the neighborhood, he was busy inflating his views with bots. Yep, up to 40% of his views were fake, making his success about as genuine as his boxing career.
At the end of the day, Jake Paul's fans got screwed while he got rich. But I guess anything to get that bag, right? We'll see how that excuse holds up in court.
But why stop at botting views when you can scam kids out of their allowances? Enter the financial freedom movement, Jake's pandemic-era cash grab. For a few $100, he promised kids they'd become millionaires without leaving their rooms. What did they actually get? Repackaged internet guides and plagiarized tips stolen from real business coaches. Meanwhile, Jake walked away $2 million richer in just 3 months. Honestly, his scamming speed is almost impressive. If scamming were a sport, he might actually deserve a title belt. And then came the crypto scams. Oh, Jake and his love for junk tokens. Pump and dump schemes became his bread and butter, leaving his fans broke while he pocketed millions.
Somewhere in between these two extremes. He's not as dumb as you guys probably think he is, but he's also not as smart as he thinks he is. So, even though Jake Paul is going to try to hide his various crypto accounts,
the Doink token scandal was peak Jake Paul. He secretly owned 100% of the tokens, hyped them up, and then dumped them, walking away with $10 million while his fans were left holding the bag. And who could forget his NFT disaster? A $4 million cash grab that vanished faster than his fan base when the FBI came knocking. Jake Paul in boxing. Let's be honest, he didn't step into the ring for glory or even a shred of dignity. Nope, his boxing career was just another chapter in his long sordid history of con artistry. It started with underground matches in Los Angeles. These weren't fights, they were bare-knuckle laundering machines, with bets soaring up to $1 million per match. Jake turned the ring into his personal casino of chaos. 5 fighters left those matches with injuries so severe they probably forgot what walking feels like, and one unlucky soul straight up disappeared. That's not a legacy, it's the plot of a crime documentary waiting to happen.
at the end of the day, Jake Paul's fans got screwed while he got rich. But I guess anything to get that bag, right? We'll see how that excuse holds up in court.
Why stop at underground fights when you can read official ones? Enter the Anasungyib fight in 2020, a spectacle as fake as Jake's rags to riches narrative. Rumor has it, Gib pocketed a cool $500,000 bonus to take a dive in the first round. Who needs talent when your offshore accounts are buzzing louder than a Vegas slot machine? And it didn't stop there. Millions of dollars were allegedly funneled out before the fight even ended. Fast forward to 2021, and we got the Ben Askren debacle. $30 million in fake bets flooded the market, while Askren folded to a punch so weak it wouldn't knock over a paper bag. Whispers of bribery turned into full-blown screams. But Jake, he just kept strutting, confident his bank account could outpunch any accusation.
Jake Paul got paid 39.9 Ethereum for the Sacred Devils promotional scam, which you can see right here. It's worth $139,000, which puts him on the board, which later linked up with a huge ring of NFT scammers we busted, actually.
And then there are Jake's extracurriculars, the kind involving private planes and shady pit stops in cartel territory. Yep, you heard that right. Cartel connections. His so-called training camps in Mexico suspiciously included detours to areas infamous for banned substances. Coincidence? Sure, if you believe in fairy tales. Let's not forget the 3 convicted drug smugglers on his team either. Jake's real training regimen? Evading the law while pretending to box. Honestly, his career isn't about fitness. It's about how to cram as many scams as possible into a single lifetime. Now for the pièce de résistance, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Oh, this one's a masterpiece of fraud. A leaked script exposed the whole charade for what it was, a clown show masquerading as a fight.
When you stayed home and you turned on Netflix that night, were you like, holy I'm about to see the greatest live sporting event of all time?
Tyson was told to pull his punches, moving slower than a tortoise in quicksand, all to make Jake look halfway decent. This is the same Mike Tyson who once knocked out opponents in seconds. Yeah, right. His training videos showed a sharp, deadly fighter, but in the ring, he looked like he'd forgotten what sport he was playing. It was embarrassing, a masterclass in mediocrity designed to prop up Jake's delusional dream of being a legit boxer. The leaked script? Uglier than Jake's boxing form. Every move was choreographed to make him seem like a prodigy. This wasn't boxing, it was theater, and not even good theater. And the fallout? Oh, it's glorious. Both Jake and Tyson are now tangled in lawsuits, with the International Boxing Association breathing down their necks. Tyson, who walked away with a sorry $20 million, is accused of throwing the fight to protect Jake's fragile ego. Meanwhile, Netflix, which streamed the disaster, is drowning in a class action lawsuit. Fans who shelled out hard-earned cash for a historic match got buffering crashes and a fight so low quality it practically begged to be pirated. Now, those fans want their money back, and honestly, who can blame them?
Scott. People got a big problem with this stream cut now.
The internet, of course, had a field day. Hardcore boxing fans who had expected a clash of titans were instead served a lukewarm pantomime dubbed the world's most expensive reality show. Memes flooded social media, with Tyson mocked for looking for his lost keys mid-fight and Jake roasted for striking poses instead of defending himself. If turning a sport into a comedy act were an Olympic event, Jake would take home all the gold. But ruining the sport wasn't enough for Jake, he had to bankrupt fans too. Allegedly, his scams and staged fights have cost fans over $200 million. And when the FBI came knocking, oh, the treasures they uncovered. Hard drives packed with evidence of shady transactions totaling $50 million, offshore money laundering schemes, and doping scandals big enough to keep Netflix busy with documentaries for years. Jake Paul isn't just a fraud, he's a walking, talking crime syndicate, dragging anyone foolish enough to work with him into his swirling vortex of deceit.
Is publicly tagged on OpenSea as the problem child, which is one of Jake's favorite names for himself. So this is kind of promising, right? You've got this wallet receiving $200,000 in SafeMoon, and then it sending that money over to something called the problem child on OpenSea.
Let's not forget how Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, willingly stepped into Jake's circus, branding himself as a co-conspirator in the biggest scam boxing has ever seen. His once pristine legacy now lies in tatters, tarnished by his association with Jake Paul, the king of influencer fraud. Together, they've proven that influencer boxing isn't just a joke, it's a disease, and Jake Paul is the virus spreading it. Yet through all of this, people still called him a boxing prodigy. A prodigy of what, exactly? Fraud, manipulation, and exploitation. Jake Paul isn't a fighter. He's a scam artist who happened to find an audience gullible enough to believe his lies. Every fight, every deal, every dollar is just another chapter in his book of how to fool the world for fun and profit. So yeah, Jake Paul's arrest isn't just justice, it's karma. And honestly, it's been a long time coming. If there's any silver lining to this mess, it's that maybe, just maybe, people will finally see him for what he truly is, a fraudster in gloves, nothing more.